It comes a little bit again, but
I think it's gonna. Don't you? Ooh.
I don't think it's gonna rain.
you do?
I don't. I mean, looking over there.
At this point, I don't think it is either. Usually the rain
Grandfather
comes when...
was an anachronism. He did not belong in this space and time that I knew him. His wisdom does not fit into modern society, but is a call to wilder times and places where all things are real. Modern time and place had no value at this moment, for his world was without limits. His world was that of nature and eternity, without boundaries. He was truly one of the oceans. His home was the wilderness, and in wilderness he tested all things. Most of all, he was a searcher of truth, trying to define his world and preserve purity. His was a life of grand simplicity, where true riches were defined, and false gods were flesh. I do not truly know the story of Grandfather's entire life. Many things I can only assume. I do know that he wandered throughout his entire life, gathering and preserving the skills of survival, tracking, and awareness. Most of all, searching for the basic truth in spirit. For instance, he did not just teach me the making of a bow and arrow that was used by his people, but in all, the making of 12 types of bows and arrows. His survival skills came from the far reaches of northern Alaska to the Argentine wilderness, from the East Coast to the West Coast and everywhere in between. All of the physical skills that he taught were a composition of the various tribes and cultures that spanned the country, selecting the skills that worked for everyone and not the skills that worked for only a few. So too was his knowledge of philosophy and religion, which was even more expansive than his knowledge of practical skills. Grandfather was born into a small nomadic clan of Lipan Apache sometime in the 1880s, before the Apache people had been fully relocated to the reservations. I can only guess at the specifics of his childhood, about which he was always very vague from the stories he told. The first 2 years of his life, until the horror and butchering of war came from the South and killed most of his family and relatives, were spent in the American Southwest. He was then taken south by his great-grandfather, a revered shaman and warrior, to the seclusion of the trackless desert and mountains. There, with a small group of elders and a few children, he was raised in the old ways. It was a nomadic and simple existence, hidden from the wars that beset the territory and from those who sought to destroy the century-old way of life of the Native Americans. The old ones, seeing the greed and destruction that the whites caused, would not permit anything of the outside world to be taught or used by their people. Theirs was a pure existence of ancient skills and natural wisdom to guide their lives and destiny as a people. When most tribes had fallen prey to the reservations and atrocities of white suppression, Grandfather's people lived free and unfettered. To all but the mountain spirits, it would seem that they did not exist. Grandfather's people developed the skills of survival, stalking and tracking to absolute perfection, for these skills were necessary to their survival. In their ability to escape detection, they were almost invisible.